So as a superhero superfan, in particular with Marvel Studios, I absolutely wanted to love Echo, but unfortunately it just did not work. I mean, it did have a couple of good sequences, for example the Daredevil fight, the bowling alley hostage, and the majority of the Kingpin sequences, but outside of that, this series unfortunately just was not that well crafted. I mean, I am so here for the MCU trying new things, especially as back in the early days, pretty much every single installment was a different take on a different genre. So it's actually really brilliant and in line with how they used to do things over at Marvel Studios to take on a new genre with this installment. But like I said, the end result was just pretty lifeless, and it's pretty telling as originally it was actually crafted as an 8-episode limited series, but then Kevin Feige saw the end product and he was like, this is pretty unreleasable, and then they reduced it to 5 episodes and did a lot of reshoots, and I think you can really tell, as it is not at the same standard or at the same quality as, for example, the most recently released Disney Plus TV show What If, which was just so spectacular. And it's also not as good as other Origin Disney Plus shows, for example, Ms. Marvel, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, even Hawkeye, which this is a spin-off series, and those 4 are often the ones that are lowest in the rankings. And I was really up for a good indigenous-based storyline, especially as if you've watched White Lotus Season 1, one of the many brilliant one-liners in that show that really has stuck with me, even to today, where Sydney Sweeney's best friend was explaining to her that, look, I need to leave this dinner situation because I cannot stand the fact that white people have basically invaded this area, taken it over, and now have made the Hawaiian native people now dancing for their amusement. It was just such a powerful sequence, and I was just hoping and expecting to see something absolutely incredible in this series, but it was just not at that same standard either. And I just think a lot of things happened, but they just weren't interconnected into a really compelling storyline. And also, they felt a little bit random. For example, Maya suddenly being able to attain all of these additional superpowers. The fact that she can give them over to her grandmother and her cousin, even though they didn't go through the same spiritual arc and journey that she went on. I mean, it was a cool sequence when all of her ancestors are helping her. But outside of that, I just think, why on earth has she suddenly got these super strength-based powers after all of the death and destruction that she has caused? Why now is she eligible to be able to heal people? And also, the fact that she has been raised predominantly by Kingpin, I think is compelling, and actually having Kingpin's effective daughter coming back into her home territory and bringing with her all of that death and destruction, actually that is a compelling storyline, but it was just executed in a way where certain people just don't really want to know her and other people are really happy for her to come back. It was just not interwoven well enough. I mean, Maya Lopez, the actress that was playing her, did a really good job in terms of bringing her to life, as Echo has clearly gone through so much and you can really feel all of her pain. And because of the fact that she has gone through so much from childhood, she was easily being able to be influenced by Wilson Fisk and then went on his dark path. And then when Hawkeye was able to make her realize this, she then took the ultimate revenge on him. And then when he comes back, what does this mean for her life? So the storyline beats were definitely there, but like I keep saying, the execution was just not good enough. Vincent D'Onofrio is spectacular as Wilson Fisk and Kingpin. I am so glad that Kingpin is now officially part of the MCU, as he is just such a good character, and you can just see that just his presence alone is just so intimidating. And I think it's interesting as he was billed as a co-lead in this series, which is far from the truth, as at most he is just the top supporting character to all of Maya Lopez's base storylines. And actually this guy does go through so much in terms of his adopted daughter now wants to kill him, and now suddenly he's willing to just give over his whole empire to her, but then when she just rejects him, then finally he is at breaking point and then kidnaps her grandmother, kidnaps her cousin, and then you just know that he's now going to do something intimidating with her, but then she obviously heals him. So I just feel like, you know, from a Kingpin perspective, all of the storylines were really disappointing, and I think on that point a lot of the marketing was really misleading, as you were thinking it's going to be an entry at the same level as Daredevil, and fair enough, it did definitely have some mature based sequences in there, but it was nowhere near as good as the brilliant previous Daredevil seasons were. I think Bonnie was a really disappointing character as well, especially as in the beginning she is so close to Maya, effectively her sister. I was just expecting so much more when Maya then finally comes face to face with her, but they just didn't do anything with her. I thought Scully was a really cool character as far as the granddad, the really nice granddad that's always really supportive supportive, that is always really welcoming and really, really funny too. And loads of people do go to him for advice. I thought he was really, really wicked. Biscuits was effectively just there for comedic relief purposes. Henry, I thought was a really cool character, reluctantly part of the whole Fisk empire as well. So I thought that they could have done a little bit more with him and Maya. And I know they did do a little bit, but come on, they could have done a little bit more. I thought the grandmother was really, really good, especially as right in the beginning, she was telling Maya's father that she is never going to forgive him over the death of her daughter. So I felt like they could have explored that a little bit more. And I guess they did, in terms of the fact that, you know, she distanced herself with Maya because of the fact that she just always reminded her of her own daughter. And then it was really, really nice when then they finally do reunite and you can actually see a really special bond between the two of them. So that was really nice, but I felt like they set up the potential of something even bigger. Daredevil, also a lot of misleading advertising in terms of the fact that you think he's going to have a bigger role in this series. And even though the fight between him and Maya was really, really cool, I feel like the fact that they released all of it before the show even started, it was just so disappointing that there wasn't anything more. And then of course we have Zahn and a number of other people on Fisk's team, and actually they are really, really chilling, especially right at the end when they are wanting to destroy the lovely indigenous tribe event. You can really see how uncomfortable that sequence was. And I think the casting team did such a good job in who they selected to play the younger Maya Lopez, as she looked so much like the older version, so you could literally believe that this was the same person. So it's interesting to see where Echo is going to go potentially in the future, as she has kind of completed her arc in terms of she is now back to her family, and now she also has this healing ability. So I think, you know, she has come full circle. If she does go back to New York maybe once again, she is going to want to take down Wilson Fisk. And speaking of Fisk, I love the fact that they were teasing the fact that he is going to soon become Mayor Fisk, which I think is going to be so good, as they are positioning him to be the Thanos of the street level characters, which I honestly think is going to be so exciting. And I know often slow burn shows are a little bit annoying in how slow they actually are in terms of getting to the good bits, so I feel like this show didn't reward the audience for their patience, as the ending, just like I said, wasn't as satisfying as it could have and should have been, especially when Saltburn, which was recently released, did it in such a good way, and also Cruel Summer, both season 1 and season 2, just built up to this shocking, unexpected, absolutely jaw-dropping finale. And I just think Echo was just, like I said, nowhere near on the same level. So overall, it's really, really disappointing and such a shame with Echo, as it really could have been so good, especially, like I said, the fact that they were positioning itself as a character that is now going to revisit her past and have a lot of ripples and shocks when she does finally go there. But none of that actually materialized, and it's pretty inconsequential to the wider MCU. And I know that's the point with the whole new Marvel Spotlight banner, in terms of telling brand new, completely disconnected storylines to the wider main narrative. And that can work if the storylines are really good, but I feel like it's a bit of an excuse if they're not that great. And so for all of those reasons, unfortunately, I have to give Echo a 2.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Echo? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.